Hi guys, this is skittflash here, and welcome back to Let's Play Persona 3 FES. In this part, we're going to be taking on even more of the final block, Adama, apparently that's his name, as well as tackling on a very special boss later in the part. Sorry. The music you're hearing right now is from Shin Megami Tensei 4. It is the Tokyo theme. Shin Megami Tensei 4 is probably one of my all-time favorite Shin Megami Tensei games. If only because it's one of the few that I've actually beat multiple times, but that's beside the point. The particular theme you're hearing right now, the Tokyo theme, isn't particularly that rocking, like all the other themes are, but it's definitely one of the most atmospheric tracks I've ever listened to, and it's fantastically awesome, and I love it, and nothing else to expect from the composer of the series, who I just cannot compliment enough because he's totally awesome. Like something I feel about like a lot of video games I like is that like maybe like I'll listen to a theme and it will be a really cool theme and I'll be like, oh god, I love this theme, but maybe that's just one theme. But in the Shin Megami Tensei series, like, I've been saying like too much while I was talking. I'm like, how I'll just stop. The Shin Megami Tensei series, whenever I play those games, they have a lot of awesome themes. Like, at least, it's more surprising to see a theme that's not, like, just totally awesome, is the easier thing to say. Most of the themes are consistently good, unlike, I'm not sure, like, maybe a lot of games, whatever, you get the point. All the Shin Megami Tensei music is always awesome, always. Case in point. But what I'm doing right now, in terms of the actual game, is going through more of Tartarus. If you've been paying any kind of attention to my gameplay, you might notice that like I kind of dropped like strategic battling during the Tartarus explorations, simply because we have freaking Thunder Rain and Vorpal Blade, and really that's all you need in this world. Honestly, no wait, I stand corrected. I'm actually exploiting a weakness. Well, it's only one enemy. He was actually resistant to thunder, so I couldn't actually use thunder. But you get the point. Yeah, I'm just doing all kinds of like crazy, you know, complete disregard of strategy. But anywho's change of music scenery, I guess you could say. That's not even an actual thing. This is the Raido Kuzunoha theme. Main theme of Raido Kuzunoha, whatever you want to call it. I've actually yet to play the Raido Kuzunoha games. I've been meaning to pick them up. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but Atlas games are like always on sale, all the time. Look up right now, and the chances are at least like 50-50 that there's an Atlas game on sale right now. So, Raido Kuzunoha is usually only $4, so I really want to pick it up sometime, eventually. Just so I can actually say I played it, because I've been, I don't know, recently I need to go on a Shin Megami Tensei pilgrimage to play all the games, because I like to do that with a lot of series I love, like the Tales of games. I've been trying to play all the Tales of games recently. Maybe those two in general, those are two of them. It's weird, those two series, Shin Megami Tensei and Tales of, are certainly not like childhood games. Like I never played any of the games as a kid, but they quickly, just by being awesome games, have like escalated to like two of my favorite series ever. So, you know, definitely want to pick up Raido Kuzunoha. Very awesome theme. Who would have thought? But that brings us to the end. One shadow in the middle. This shadow is actually particularly hard compared to all the other shadows. I'll be talking about that when I get to it. I actually die a few times, unlike any of the other bosses, so this is probably my second or third take. But first off, I have gotten enough platinum medals, I do believe, to actually cash in with Elizabeth. Right, I'm pretty sure that's the mission I'm talking about. Yes, platinum medals, and we get a special glove. What is that exactly? Jack's gloves? I'm not sure what that is. It's probably a weapon for Akihiko, or a fist weapon, if I had to guess, but it might be something more special, who knows. But that's beside the point. Right now, there is literally not a single quest we can do right now, besides like create Loki. I don't know why I still haven't done that, But there are no more quests to do. All we have to do is the Judgment Call, which we are not a high enough level, or Last Judgment, which we are not a high enough level to do, and defeat the Reaper, which we are nearing being able to do, but not quite just yet. We still want. I want one more spell before I take on the Reaper. We'll be doing that soon. So anywho's, this guy, the World Balance. This is a really tough boss fight, I'll be perfectly honest. Did I just set everyone to heal and support? If that's any indication about how hard this boss fight can get. For the first part, he resists all types of physical, or maybe even drains all type of physical. Physical just doesn't work on him, which begs the question, why am I bringing Aegis along? Oh, for buffs, I guess, and because they're part of my super squad, the Harem squad, best squad. Again, as you notice, everyone is on heal and support, and rightfully so, because this boss fight is kind of really hard. I've died to this boss fight multiple times. Any kind of magic is fair game, so it has no resistance towards magic. Sadly, we can't use the rush strategy because it's resistant to attacks. But the main thing to worry about this boss fight is it's a very smart boss. Those are the really tough those are really tough enemies. Like, anytime you get into an enemy that has an intelligent AI, you kind of seems redundant. But you kind of have to be worried because those are typically the hardest enemies to deal with. For the first part, this boss resists every single type of physical. I've said that before. This boss possesses every single type of dying spell, as well as all the mod dying spells. And it's smart, so it will exploit weaknesses when it can. I'm surprised it hasn't tried to use Zeodyne and Aegis, because as of right now, that's the only weakness it can exploit. Besides wind on my Odin, because I didn't get block wind on my Odin, and I feel really bad about that. But just keep in mind, I guess right now it just doesn't feel like it, or maybe it's really convinced that fire is going to do something. I mean, even when it's not exploiting weaknesses, that damage is still something ridiculous. Especially seeing how Aegis is totally dead. But yes, just set everyone to heal and support. The thing about this boss, besides also being smart, it has a few phases. The first, like the beginning of the battle, will just kind of spam different dying spells. Eventually it transitions, it will start to use light and dark magic, and that's, annoying as always. And then, at the very, very last stretch of the fight, it will just start spamming Megidolon, which, as you might guess, is just completely ridiculous. We do have Midairahan if we need to, but I kind of like to make some progress in the fight, so, that's a problem. That's problematic. Yeah, there's the Megidola. Almost Megidolon. Even the Megidolas are enough to totally just wreck us. But yeah, if you try to use Magic Mirrors or Makara Karin, it will actually just immediately spam Megidolons, which is actually a very common strategy you'll see in late game fights. If there's if you try to break a fight by reflecting its only attack, it typically starts to drop Almighty Magic on you. That's a common thing you'll see. And Aegis is right back dead. I didn't say that right. I wasn't sure. I'm not sure if she had full health. If she did in fact have full health, then it's absolutely useless to try to bring her back up, unless we want to use try and use defense buffs, because that's the only reason I think that'd work. I'm really tempted to try and use Yukari's chocolate cake. I'm really curious as to what that does. It's probably just a full HP and SP heal, if I had to guess. Do we have anyone with Mataru Kaja? Or is it Rakukaja? The one that helps us not die. Tarundo would even help. I'm looking through all my personas, and this is what happens when you completely start to rely on just being totally awesome, like having super high stats and using Thunder Rain and 99 magic. You realize that when push comes to shove that this is kind of problematic. I don't have any way of coping with enemies that actually do more damage than me. I mean, the moment I get the moment he slips up like this, I'll be able to use Mind Charge and then Thunder Rain, and then all will be well. And she even uses Rakukaja, so thank you. I guess you just totally saved me. He's pretty much done. Checkmate. Have I stated I've been playing a lot of chess recently? That's something I've been doing. Been getting really, really into it. Still kind of suck in comparison to everything else. But yeah, that's something I've been doing. Oh no, why Yukari of all people? I would have liked it if Yukari didn't die, but if it has to be done, that would have been nice if you brought her back, Mitsuru, so she could get some experience, but that's totally fine. Because this turn, I am going to just end you, because it only took 4 Mind Charge Thunder Rains. So in the grand scheme of things, maybe I am not using strategy, because we still do have an immense amount of power. But yeah, that was that. That was probably the hardest, in my opinion, probably the hardest boss of this entire block. Even the next 2 we're gonna fight probably aren't as bad. Maybe they are, but at least I didn't die to those last 2 bosses. I died to this boss, like, I think maybe once. So maybe it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad, but I died to this boss more than every other boss, I guess you could say. And definitely gonna go back and save. We at least beat it, again. That's how you take on that boss fight. Just make sure you don't use Makara and if you don't want to totally get Medidolan to death. And yeah. And pick up our rewards, a precious egg and a bomb of life. And then back to Speedy Epiness, I guess. Track right now is from Devil Survivor 2. It's called Battle of the Brave. Speaking of Devil Survivor 2, Devil Survivor 2 Break Record has been announced to be released later in the year, and I'm very, very psyched about that. Haven't heard any news about that until recently, but really fun. If you're a person who doesn't play only strictly plays just Persona games, then by all means, I don't want to get into that whole argument because that is just something else. But if you're interested in actually getting into the Shin Megami Tensei series and all you've been playing is Persona, I think Devil Survivor 2 is actually a great segue in between Persona to Shin Megami Tensei. I mean, I feel like Persona is a good starting place in general, but if you want to segue even further, then Devil Survivor 2 is a great thing. It has a Social Link-esque system. That was definitely the whole reason I was reluctant to actually get into the SMT games. When I first played, when I finished Persona, I was like, ugh, I don't want to play these games. They don't have social links. But I mean, that's kind of I know the word. I use the word very often. That's kind of a closed-minded way of looking at things. But if that is a problem, because social links are fucking fun, don't blame you if you don't want to play a game without, or if you'd rather have a game with them. But Devil Survivor 2 has a social link system, so you can play that. I'm talking about everything but the game. I guess at this point there's nothing much left to talk about. Eventually, I might have even talked over it, actually. But soon, Odin's gonna learn Spellmaster, which halves the MP cost of any spell ever, which is a really good spell to have, and it's what I'm looking for. Yeah, Devil Survivor 2. Awesomely fun game. SRPG, strategy RPG. Not much like a Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Maybe not. Yeah, whatever. You get the point. Very cool games. Play them. Just play the entire Shin Megami Tensei series. Honestly, man. Such fun. I feel kind of hypocritical when I say that, though, because a lot of the games I haven't beaten. I haven't beaten Devil Survivor 1 yet. I haven't beaten Devil Survivor 2. I haven't beaten Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. I haven't beaten Digital Devil Saga. Hell, actually, yeah, I've pretty much only beaten Persona 3 and Shin Megami Tensei 4. Admittedly, I haven't even beaten Persona 4. Actually, I need to get Golden to actually play that. The problem is that when I was playing the game in Persona 4, again talking about everything but Persona 3, I actually, when I came to the moment end game where I realized I wasn't completing all the social links, I just stopped playing. So I really have to get back into that. But change of musical scenery. I don't care. Okay, here's Spellmaster. Yeah, I don't care if that's not a real term. I'm gonna use it from now on. This is Devil Survivor 1. Pinch Battle. Very, very, very epic theme as always. I expect nothing less. It psychs me even more for the upcoming Persona 5. I can only imagine how awesome the music there is gonna be. But yeah, Digital Devil Saga. Digital Devil Saga and Devil Survivor, they're only like one letter away from having the same acronym, so I often confuse the two. Uh, but trying to get back to the actual game, we learned Spellmaster. Now that we have Spellmaster, again, we've technically doubled our SP. Not really. We use half as much SP, which is almost the same as saying we doubled it. In terms of Odin, if we're using everyone else, it's exactly the same. But we really want Spellmaster because we're going to be getting into a very long boss battle soon. And if we don't have enough SP to actually facilitate, like, you know, doing that, to survive that boss battle, we won't be able to do it. So now that we have Spellmaster, we do have all the necessary ammo to take on someone big bad. The three enemies in the middle? No, not those guys. We'll be taking on those guys next time. What we're going to be taking on now is even badder. Or more bad. I'm not a cool grammar person, as you can plainly see from my explanation sentence. But whatever. We are here in floor 2, very low floor. First of the utmost importance, we had to equip Yukari with the maid outfit. Just cuz. Because it's important. It really is. You're really letting this leader thing go to your head, damn straight. But she's blushing. I feel like that's a rank 10 thing with her. And as you might notice, we have the maid squad, the maid harem squad. This will be our endgame party. Best party. Just totally fantastically awesome. Now we're going to spin around in circles until the person we're waiting for eventually comes. Eventually. Any moment now. Any 10 minutes from now, actually. Basically, we're waiting for the Reaper to show up. Because yes, we're actually doing that. How long? There we go. So when Fuka gives the signal, we are looking for death, and we're going to be spinning in circles because we're getting cold feet. Maybe this is actually an insanely hard boss fight, and as a result, we're going to be using an insanely cheap strategy. So yes, when you hear that, something to note about death is that he'll never go into the room where the stairs are. As you can see, we're in the stairs room, so like. You don't even have to worry. We could wait in this room forever. And as you can see, the Reaper, will be just chilling right there for all eternity. So it doesn't even matter. So, here's how you fight the Reaper. The cheap way. First and foremost, keep on running on what you want to make sure you have this kind of setup. You want to make sure the Reaper goes 5th. If the Reaper doesn't go 5th, run away and fight him again until he is 5th. Second step, make sure the person who goes 4th, is on standby. In this case, Aegis goes 4th, so make sure she's on standby. Third step, use Thunder Rain. I think you can see where this is going. As soon as you use Thunder Rain, go to Rush. Because the Reaper is paralyzed, you will always get a critical hit, and you will always be able to do an all-out attack. This boss fight has 4,444 HP, and a high amount of defense, so you can see how this is going to take a very long amount of time. If you miss Thunder Rain, consider yourself fucked, because this boss fight is actually very tough otherwise. The moment Aegis uses a Pierce attack, stop rushing, because if you keep on rushing, she'll attack again, and that will knock up the enemy. That will knock the Reaper back up. The key cheap mechanic to this boss fight is that because we waited with Aegis, we knocked the Reaper down, relented on the all-out attack, and waited with Aegis. What that means is that the Reaper wastes an entire turn getting back up, and that's a turn he's not going to spend totally absolutely wrecking you. The Reaper is an insanely intelligent boss fight. He will exploit you. That sounds funny saying it. So you want to make sure you just make sure that Aegis doesn't knock him back up, basically. If you do this strategy, he'll never be able to land a finger on you. Just make sure you have enough SP to do this, because if turns out you can't do Thunder Rain, he will start to kill you. He will exploit weaknesses, he will use Fire Break and stuff like that, and that's just not fun at all. But luckily, this is a cheap strategy that I'm probably just going to be cutting the rest out. So, yeah, very, very anticlimactic, but 30 all-out attacks later, yay, he's dead. I cut out a majority of that fight because it was the exact same thing over and over and over again. But yeah, basically if you do that strategy, he won't be able to even touch you. despite how short that battle was, that actually took forever. For one thing, it takes forever for the Reaper to show up. It takes forever for you to get a setup where he actually goes fifth, because that only works if he goes fifth. Well, it works. It can work technically if he goes fourth, but then you'd be kind of wasting a turn. And then even when I did get fifth, I actually messed up twice, because the first time I accidentally again I kept it on rush. You got to make sure you cancel rush the moment like Aegis attacks. Otherwise, when you relent on the all-out attack, she'll still be in rush mode, and then then he gets knocked back up, and then watch as he systematically wrecks you. But yeah, so after a while, I finally ended up beating him. The reward is actually one of the beating the Reaper is actually one of the prerequisites to an optional dungeon we will be getting access to much later, and it's also the requirement for actually Elizabeth's request, the bloody button. I feel like you'd be more surprised. Maybe she knows we cheated it out, like most impressive. Yeah. But anywho's, now she's more interested in us, I guess, because we're immensely powerful at exploiting cheap strategies. But we get 5 million yen. Hot damn, we are rich. We are set for the rest of, I don't know, 2 days, because we've actually been spending money like crazy. But anywho's, yes, that was the Reaper. We didn't really show much of it, but we totally cheaped it out, but that's how you beat it. In the next part, we will be probably taking on the rest of Tartarus, if I had to guess. Or at least a large portion of Tartarus. But until then, this has been skittflash. Hope you've enjoyed watching. Bye!